So tonight we welcome Common, aka Lonnie Rashid Lynn. He is best known as a star recording artist whose music is marked, as you know, by intensity and passion. He's also a children's book publisher and a music producer and a television and film actor. He wrote his first rap verse when he was 12, when he was growing up on Chicago's tough South Side. He writes, "I was attracted to hip-hop because of the rhythm, but the words were the reason I fell in love for keeps." He carries on a great tradition of rappers, of great rappers, but also a tradition of Miles Davis, James Baldwin, Bob Marley. "We are the children of jazz," he writes. "We are the children of all black art around the globe." And he wrote that in the afterword to the very wonderful anthology of rap. In addition to being a two-time Grammy Award winner, he's earned a reputation in the hip-hop world as a conscious artist by embracing themes of love and struggle in his songs. And in his revealing new memoir, One Day It'll All Make Sense, you'll meet Common the rapper, the actor, the activist, but also the father, the son, and the friend. The great writer James McBride, who's also been at this library, who wrote that great book, The Color of Water, writes of Common's new memoir, "Common distinguishes himself here as a true artist and a writer of deep talent. The book is the story of an artist in constant evolution, one who embodies the strength of the brilliant woman that raised him, the love of the South Side Chicago that spawned him, and the raw spirit of the pro basketball player who fathered him. I've always heard that the people of South Side Chicago were special, and I'm glad their native son Common shows us why." Tonight, Common's in conversation with Kevin Frazier, who just began his first season as co-host of The Insider. For the last 8 seasons, he's worked on a sister show, Entertainment Tonight. You've probably seen him there as correspondent and weekend anchor. He's also done a lot of sports broadcasting, ESPN Sports Center. And we are very, very happy to welcome Kevin Frazier and Common to the Los Angeles Public Library. Please welcome them now.
How are you?
Thank you, sir. Thanks, sir.
Oh, wow. How's everybody doing tonight? Good? Good.
What's going on?
It's exciting to have them here, isn't it? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, right off the bat, I want to start with, why did you decide to write a book?
Well, actually, it wasn't my idea. And when I was first approached by my manager, Derek, he was like, "Man, you should write a book." And I'm like, "I'm too young to write a book, man. I still got a career, man. What you talking about?" But, and, you know, after further discussion and me just thinking about it, you know, the perspective we wanted to take on the book was just about my life. And this is really like the first chapter of my life. And just the relationship with my mother and the lessons I learned from the things that shaped me. And I wanted to share that with people because my motivation came for writing a book was really like saying, let me express myself and tell my stories and my ups and downs, and hopefully it can motivate someone just because maybe they could relate to an aspect of me or aspect of the story and just realize that, you know, shoot, we all just human. Because this book is about just a young man just coming of age and still learning, you know?
Yeah, does it all make it? One day it'll all make sense. Does it all make sense now?
Nah, I can't say it all makes sense now. I mean, that's one of the biggest things I think is that, you know, you learn a lot, you grow, and you start to know certain things, but you know that you don't know everything. And, you know, I don't know what day it will all make sense, but one day it will.
All right, let's go back for a second and first of all start with the fact that you wrote a letter to different people and different entities in each chapter.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, it was like a collaboration of me writing. I wrote this book with Adam Bradley, who is a great writer, and we had the idea of me writing these letters because we knew it would be even more personal. Because during the process of us writing the book, we would have discussions and we would write things down, and he would ask me questions, and it just made me really dig into my life and who I was. But these letters, you know, sometimes when you write a letter to someone, it's just like, it's just as raw as possible. You're not editing it. You just like, hey, your thoughts come out. And that's what these letters were. And it really gave like a good preface to each chapter and really made people feel even closer to what the chapter spirit that comes with it too, like the purpose you're doing it for. And if it's really just motivated in money or motivated in, man, I'm about to get this paper and get these cars, it don't have that spirit of what hip hop really started with. And I think, for me, it was always about coming from that spirit and just coming from the heart and making something that's going to spark people.
That's great. No, that is great stuff.
Thank you.
When did you realize you could make the transition and become a movie star?
Yeah.
When did you, because it's interesting seeing you on the red carpet and seeing you,
Yeah.
in these movies and junkets.
You know what my first thing was? First was that I wanted to be an actor, not just an actor. I felt like if I'm gonna do it at the highest level. But I knew it was a process as far as like, look, I just started studying acting first, just going to classes, and I was just enjoying classes in between touring, in between doing whatever work I had to do that paid the bills, and doing music. I was going to acting class, and acting class was really like fulfilling me. I was like looking forward to it. We trudged through the snow, do whatever we had to do to go to classes, and from the classes, I started getting on auditions and started getting better with auditioning. And the time I really realized that I felt like in my heart, I knew I could be a movie star. I could be a leading man. I felt that in my heart. But the time I realized it was like when I got my first film and I was at the movie theater and I was like, man, I'm on the screen right now. This is crazy. Like, and I just, at a certain point was able to separate being so judgmental. I was like, man, I really can do this. I feel like I can do this. I know it's gonna take work, and I'm willing to put in the work because I'm passionate about it. And, I just believe in myself. So I think it was the first time I saw Smoking Aces is when I was like, yeah, I could do it for real.
No, I hear you. How much work does it take to be successful in this business all around? Because I think sometimes people look and they're like, I can rap. I should be as successful as you.
Yeah. People, I just say it's work. It's work in the way that, like, you have to work at your craft or whatever you do. You got to work at that, like, but that should be something that you really love, and you should enjoy that work. But then beyond the work that the creative work that you do and the thing that you really love to do, you have to work to get the music out there or get the product out there or to get the role. You have to go out and do so much work beyond just the creative part to get your material out there. And you just don't live a regular life. Like, I just, like, for about 8 years, I think I've been coming home, like, living out of my toiletry bag and not really, like, feeling like I don't even unpack bags sometimes. And, you get used to sleeping on planes and stuff start feeling like regular just because of the work and the time you got to put in. People think like, even acting, man, people think like, it's just easy. But you could sit around just for, you could work 18 hours a day. Not just the actors, I'm talking about the crew, the people, the people that do the catering. It's like the hours are really crazy, but when you love it, you do it. You do it because you love it, and all the benefits come later. And no matter what I'm doing, like, because I love it, I might be tired or whatever, but I ain't gonna sit there and complain because I know that I'm grateful to be able to have the opportunity to do it, and I know I want to keep taking it to the next level. But the work is beyond probably your imagination, what you would think, I
want to ask you about a couple of things before we take some questions, but let's talk about this whole White House thing real quick.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is you went for the Christmas tree lighting. See, people forget that.
That's what I was.
Right. But you were there for the Christmas tree lighting, hosted the whole thing, and nobody cared.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you came back to recite some poetry, and I guess that's a big deal if you walk in the White House and recite poetry. What was it like for you to see those negative things and turn on the TV and hear some of the pundits talking about it?
Well, it was first I didn't even know, because I'm not like an avid TV watcher, so I didn't know what was going on. Like, I was working on this independent film, and I got a text from one of my friends like, man, don't worry about what they saying about you. So I'm thinking, I'm thinking like maybe something came out on one of the websites or something, you know. TMZ said something about me. I don't know. Somebody said something. I don't know. I was like, okay, who said something? Then next thing, I kept getting more texts like, man, they just don't know you or something. So then I got a call. You know, I talked with my manager and a couple of my team, and they was like, man, you know, Sarah Palin came out and said this, and Fox News is saying this, and I was like, I kind of was laughing a little bit, like, you sure? Like, they said me? Wait, so eventually, as it kept going, I felt, you know, at first it was funny, and then I started feeling like, man, this is sad that, you know, that they would take, you know, a piece of what I do and try to skew it to make me look a certain way, you know, and they don't really know me. And out of all the body of work that I've done, they take a piece and say, man, this is what this guy is. And it just, you know, it made me feel like, man, America, man, we get so judgmental about things, and like we quick to look at, like, you can have a whole life long of doing something positive, but once you do something that, and first of all, I'm being clear that the music that I made was never about like killing cops, or, I mean, I will raise awareness about police brutality. I will speak up for the oppressed and for injustice. I will continue to do that. Yeah, but like, we have a tendency in America to be like, man, this person, like, we look at the one little speck of dust in somebody's eye, you know, and be like, oh, you got that right there. And, you know, and it's like all this greatness about them, but we look at that. So it was really just a situation where they really didn't know who I was. Yeah. And I think, you know, the research that they did wasn't as in-depth enough, so their misinformation just eventually, to most people, didn't look valid. It just wasn't valid. And for those that didn't know me, maybe for a second they were like, or maybe for a minute they were like, hey, this Common guy is no good. But, you know, at some point, you know, they'll discover who I am. And more than anything, you know, you just have to continue doing what you do and know what your mission is, because people will always talk and say something. Mm-hmm. And if you stop for every time somebody say something about you, man, you will get nowhere.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
By the way, what did the president say to you? I'm just curious. What did our president say to you?
The president just told me, man, thank you for coming, and man, he just gave me love more than anything. It was like, he just gave me that smile, like, you know, he didn't get too in depth with it, but I mean, but he gave me that smile, like, sorry you had to go through this. but you know, the performance we did at the White House is like one of the most monumental moments in my career, in my life. And
what was it like being in the White House?
I mean, it was like an out-of-body experience, for the fact that, you know, when they first introduced me, I was a little nervous because we in the White House about to perform for the president. And as you mentioned, I hosted the White House event, and I did a Christmas event with them even the previous year. But I don't know, something about this moment, and with all the hoopla and the fact that they still let me come, I felt great that they was like, yo, they didn't change their agenda. And when they introduced me, the people just gave such a warm welcome. And I walked out and I had one of my musicians playing, and my DJ was playing Martin Luther King's speech and scratching it. And when I sat on that stool, it was like, I just looked at the president and the first lady, and it was a room just full of people that were supporting it. And I just remember just saying this rhyme/poem, and I was like, man, I'm at the White House talking about the struggle of young people in Chicago and how we got to do better to help raise them. And it was real poetry, and it just felt so fulfilling to my life and career. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was great. And by the way, I do want to point out that during the Christmas tree lighting, the program was live. And they mistimed it, or one group couldn't get B.B. King off the stage.
King,
They couldn't get him off the stage fast enough, so they went back to Common and they just said, do something. and you freestyled a Christmas rap.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable to fill the 2 minutes of time.
Yeah.
And everybody was so entertained. It was great.
Thank you.
It was a great moment.
I appreciate
that people don't even realize, but they were like fighting to get BB off the stage. They're like, come on, come on.
I was like, hurry up, y'all.
And they couldn't get him off the stage.
Yeah.
There's some other things in this book that are pretty amazing. You know, I got to ask you about Serena.
Yeah. I love you.
Hey, what?
Yeah.
It was, why is everybody, why? It was well, you tell everybody what that relationship was like.
Man, that was a beautiful relationship. Like, Serena is just a lovely person. Like, she's fun, she's smart, just a good woman, man, really, to be honest, and just a great support. Like, she supports, and just, man, we just had a great time, a great, like, time together, and that was, you know, it was really fulfilling for me. I learned a lot, and, man, that was great.
Was it weird waking up and, like, you're in London and your pictures all over the world? You're just like, I'm going to the car, and there's pictures of you all over the planet.
Yeah, that was pretty weird to me because, you know, that night, like, we was just out having fun. Like, we were touring with Kanye, and it was just like we were having fun. I do kind of remember the paparazzi coming around, but I didn't know they got all those pictures. And it was like, but we were just like having a good time, and it was weird to experience that. And that was the wake-up call for me to be like, okay, I know when you're in a relationship with a celebrity during this time, you know, during this day and time, you have to, you know, just be mindful, basically. And that's what I did because I respect her so much. I never would want. First of all, I respect myself and respect her too, and would never want either one of us to be out there showing the bad light. I mean, you know, I like to party too, but you know, you coming in from partying and they catch you, they might catch you with a bottle in your hand or something, you know, anything. But the point is, I just try to be respectful to us and try to keep everything close and private.
You had water in your hand. That's all. It really
Water.
was.
That's
it was
what
a
it was.
jug of water,
Yeah.
right? No, it was a jug of water.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we take some questions, real quick, your mom is so important to you, and people may not realize that close she is to you, how much she, you know, whenever you have the chance, she's around, and it's just interesting to watch that relationship and watch in such a great, respectful way that you kind of honor her whenever she's around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my mother is like, she's been my foundation in a way that she provided me with the love, from the beginning, love, and she gave me discipline, taught me a lot of things about, just even through example of her, the way she gave to people as a teacher. I saw like a lot of people that she would bring into the house or just be cool with and try to instruct. And I mean, the love I got from my mother really taught me how to love in a way. And it made me, help me to love myself and know how to love a woman in many ways. And it gave me a great model for the type of woman that I would want. And she, she just shaped me, man. And it's nothing like getting love in a home. And it made me want to help other people because I realized that, like, I realized that that the love that I received was like something that I seen some of my friends didn't have the opportunity to get. Like some of my friends, their parents had died. Some of them parents were on drugs. And we always would, my mother would kind of try to take them in and help them out too. And when I see them not having that type of love, I was like, man, I want to be able to give back, so because kids need it.
Yeah.
Kids need it. So the love I got, and the relationship I got with my mother is definitely been one of the biggest reasons I'm here and I can be the person I am right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I know it is. So it's so amazing because and I know Derek, your manager's out here.
Yeah.
Derek is out here, and your mom and Derek's parents and everything. It's a tight-knit unit, you know.
Yes.
And it's so wild when you're around them because it's just like a regular family atmosphere.
Yeah.
You're like, where's Rashid?
Yeah.
And Derek's mom is cooking, so it's a great thing. And you see how family makes such a big difference in people's lives. All right, let's take some questions because we're running out of time. But okay.
Hey, what's up, Con?
How you
Thanks
doing?
for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Are you familiar with KRS's Gospel of Hip Hop?
No, I mean, I'm familiar with KRS, but not the gospel of hip hop.
Okay, so he came out with that I think in 2009, and it's documents like hip hop as a spirit guided intelligence movement, and that upraised like people that had dead ends that didn't really have options, and it gave them elements to express themselves like beatboxing, DJing, flowing, graffiti art, everything dancing, and he's one theory he has is that Dr. Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech outlined the movement of hip hop from the Northeast all the way through the Midwest to the West.
I won't cut you off, but
Okay.
I want to ask him a
So,
question.
like, what do you think? What do you think? How is hip hop gonna progress, and is it gonna go back to its fundamental roots with like another layer, or what do you see the future of hip hop as?
Well, I mean,
Thank you.
Thanks. I would hope for hip hop to continue to progress, and I don't think it'll ever be, go back, because hip hop is like a living organism, just like we live. Like we develop and grow. So I can't go back to being 4 years old, but I can still keep the child spirit in me. And I think hip hop should be able to keep some of the fundamental spirit of it and just what it was about, but you still have, like you said, new layers to it, because the world is evolving and changing, so you have to allow hip hop to change and evolve too. And I just would like to see the diversity in it, and more than anything, just see people making hip hop music that really care for the art. Because if you care for it, then you're gonna put your all into it, and that in turn is gonna make the art better.
In your opinion, what's the biggest challenge in the world, and how, through your music and through your celebrity, do you think we can address it?
Yeah.
Whoa. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and figure that one out.
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges in the world is just being able to love, man. Because I think when you really do love, like when you love yourself, then you really don't look at other people. You don't look down on them. You just kind of able to love them, because you don't feel like you got anything to lose by giving them love. And if you really put love in the forefront of things that you do towards others, just think if countries approach things in that way, or it will never. Well, I ain't gonna say it never happen, but if corporations approach things, and I know, that exactly. So, but I'm saying the aspect of love I think is one of the most important antidotes we can have to helping cure whatever's going on in the world. Because I think that's what helps us to breathe and live. And what I try to do is just put it out there, whether whether I put it out in my music, whether I put it out through the book, and acting. I can't say I put it out in everything. I love acting. I'm passionate about it, but I guess if you see me shooting somebody and smoking aces, that ain't really love, huh?
Yeah.
but yeah, I think love is that antidote. If I could offer my own perspective. Yeah.
No, or Street Kings, where you had that menacing.
Oh yeah, that was it.
Or menacing Street Kings. Here we go.
Street Kings.
Yes, good evening. Hi, Rashid.
How you doing?
Saw you in the bathroom earlier, Philip.
Yeah.
All right.
That really was.
I washed my hands, man.
Yeah, I opened the door, man. And I said, hey, but here's the star of the show. I said, hey, what's up, brother? Rashid, I wanted to ask you, I told you about my father being a jazz musician, but the levels of where jazz has kind of gone from jazz to bebop, and it is a predecessor for what your brand of music is or style. But how much did it really influence you, and where do you think it's going to be to the point where it'll keep influencing you?
Jazz music?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Well, I got to say, hip-hop brought jazz to me because, I grew up in a city, of course, where jazz and blues was strong, but I was mostly introduced to soul music, hip-hop music, house music. Now, when Tribe Called Quest came out and they were using jazz samples, I was really interested in jazz. I started going out to do digging for records, and they were jazz records. That's when I discovered the Herbie Hancocks. That's when I discovered the Jazz Messengers and Freddie Hubbard and, you know, all these great musicians. Got on to John Coltrane and Miles Davis and, you know, Mulgrew Miller, who was a newer sound. But I was discovering a lot of music, and I think that, right, you know, even on my way out here, I was listening to the jazz station because I just love jazz music. And it will always have a place in my life and in my music collection. You know, it's definitely one of the, like, I put Love Supreme as one of my top 5 albums ever made, you know, so it will always have some type of influence on me. And that freedom, you know, I just actually got to perform in Detroit with a great musician friend of mine named Kareem Riggins at their jazz festival. And the freedom that I had when I was rapping with them over this jazz music, it reminded me of what I should be doing in hip hop. Because, you know, sometimes in hip hop, I started feeling structured and just, okay, you need to do 16 bars and then the chorus, 16 bars and then the next chorus, a bridge, then the verse. You know, it's like, oh, that's the format. But, you know, jazz is so free and music should be free that it kind of reminded me. So I always keep jazz in my heart and let it be some type of influence on me. Oh, yes, sir.
Yes, indeed. All right, right up here. You weren't in the bathroom, right? I just want to check. No, just you. Okay. No, I'm messing with you. I'm just messing.
Hey, thank you much, brother, for representing. And that's what I want to ask you about. You mentioned Michael Jordan, and I'm not here to get you to criticize anybody. And there's like the athlete Muhammad Ali, you know, to like different ends of the spectrum. Number one, I want to ask you, what do your people, your advisors, advise you to do? And two, have there been any things that you've lost as a result of you taking a principled stand about the issues that impact all of us?
Yeah, I definitely feel, I mean, you know, my advisors, they ask me to do sometimes some of the best things for me. Sometimes it's their perspective of what they think is best for me. And it's up to me as a human being to say certain things just don't fit with my moral code, and I won't do them. And, you know, a funny story is I was, like, this was years ago, like maybe 10 years ago, Coca-Cola offered me a commercial, and I was like, man, I don't want to do it. And then I was like, they had, man, all of these big wigs call me and have phone conferences like, man, you need to do this. And everybody on my team was like, you need to do this. And I remember, like, I was definitely into my health thing, and my cousin, my whole family was telling me, my mother was calling me like, man, you need to do this. And my cousin was coming up the stairs to tell me I need to do it, and I was like, man, I don't even drink pop. And I was sitting there drinking a ginger ale at the time, and he's like, you do drink pop, you're drinking one now. But I was like, I don't drink Coke. And he was, and then I turned him down and told him, man, I didn't want to do it. And eventually, they came back again, and they doubled the money, right? So I said, hold up, let me think about this. Let me think about this. And eventually, you know, what I did, just because I ended up doing the Coca-Cola commercial, but I got first of all, I had creative direction, so I could do it any way I wanted. I didn't rap not 1 ounce about Coke. I rapped about being real and the conflict I even had of doing the commercial. And I say that to say, you know, to hear what I had to say. And the blessed thing was, I remember one of my mother's friends, when I did this commercial, was like, man, that was the best song you ever made. I was like, what? But the point, I did it, and it was something that I was able to do it my way. And if it's something that I feel is detrimental and is not, you know, really destroying people, I'm not going to support that business, or I won't do anything of that nature. But I do have my moral codes, and I stick to those. And when I do use major platforms or build with corporations, I have to do it where I can stick to who I am and represent what my brand and what I am about. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got time. Two more. Go ahead.
Good evening.
evening.
Now that you're acting and you have written a book, I was wondering if getting into screenwriting or producing is in the cards for you. I see, being in the entertainment business out here, I see a screaming lack of diversity of people of color behind the scenes. So I was wondering if that's something you're interested in having more of a hand of.
Yeah, yes, very much so. And we have established a film and television production company called Freedom Road, and the independent film I just did, we are on as producers on that, but I'm definitely looking forward to producing more films and TV shows, animated shows, you know, like that's something we definitely want to be behind the scenes too, because, you know, you just want to diversify and be able to, for me, like, just be able to do business across the board, employ people who deserve it, you know, and just be behind some of my own projects and not have to wait on anybody. Just create things for myself and for my team and for the world eventually, you know.
Hello, how are you today?
How you doing?
I'm good. I just want to say one thing, that your music comes from the right place.
Thank
And I
Thank you.
appreciate you just inspiring myself in my everyday life and everybody that you see and hear in the world. The thing is, I want to know, when did you fall in love with music and what made you happy as a kid?
Yeah. That's good. I fell in love with music probably really around the Michael Jackson era, you know, and I mean, I already liked music and I liked hip hop, but just really falling in love where you like, man, I love, because I was listening, I would hear from my babysitter Marvin Gaye and hear the Commodores and Shaka Khan, but, you know, me going out and getting a record or being like putting a record on was like Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson. And what made me feel good as a kid was like, honestly, seeing Michael Jackson dancing and Billie Jean and Beat It and those things. I watch it. It was something called Friday Night Videos or something.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
You remember that? Yeah.
When you had to wait all week to see the video.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ready, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a VHS machine ready. I was like, push and record.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah. I always, that made me happy, and playing basketball made me happy as a kid. Yeah.
Awesome. You know what?
We'll get one last question.
Okay, we'll take one more.
All right, Common. First of all, you're one of my top 10 MCs, even after you serve Ice Cube. You know, he was one of my childhood favorite MCs.
Thank you.
But look, man, I'm a high school teacher just up the street right here.
Yeah.
Miguel Contreras. And, you know, I always try to use hip-hop in some way in, you know, the classroom to illustrate, you know, anything going on in America and the world. But, you know, it's getting really hard, you know, I got to compete with, like, you know, Lil Wayne and, like, you know, just a bunch of stuff. So how can I continue to use hip-hop? How can I continue to use hip-hop in the classroom? I don't know, some quick advice you can give me.
I think, I mean, obviously, sometimes you might have to bring in some music that may be from different eras of hip-hop, but even if you don't do that, I mean, maybe you use, you know, raps in different ways. Like, you might even end up writing some raps. I could tell you rap somewhere. No, you held the mic like, yo.
You saw that, right? You saw that, dude.
Yeah, so
I thought he was going to do last question rap. He was like, last question.
Yeah, so, I mean, you might have to implement that, like bring some raps in for yourself, or just have the kids start writing a rap that relates to that project. You know what I'm saying? He said use some poetry too, so whichever way, but you got to make them feel interested in the part of it. I mean, you know, as a teacher to do that, but let them write some raps about a certain subject. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.